From our experience, I would like to focus on 3 or 4 points which we essentially look for in any SME, which is investable. First and foremost, I would say, the focus on distribution and markets. I think this is extremely critical. We have seen enterprises who have been able to scale up quickly are the ones who have been able to build that distribution in relatively faster than the competition. And it cut across geographies, it cut across sectors, it cut across the size of the companies. Even if whether you're B2B, whether you're B2C, if you can scale up your distribution in the beginning of your, in the early stage of your company, it really helps to create a lot of value. For example, we invested in a food ingredients company. When we invested, it was only about 25 crores, but they had a pan-India distribution. And because of that, they've been able to triple their turnover in like 2 years. And whenever there any foreign company comes in that sector, they are the first one to be approached, either for an alliance or for a strategic stake sale, etc. So focus on distribution. And particularly from an early stage company, there's always a challenge. Should I invest in distribution? Should I invest in branding? On branding, our view is that, of course, it sounds great, it sounds glamorous to build brands, and of course, brands have a lot of values. But depending on what category you are in, you are always competing with peers who are probably millions of dollars or billions of dollars, and they always will have much more cash to spend on brand building than you can do. So even if you allocate some money there, whether that investment is justified is always a question mark. For example, we invest in a lot of consumer food product companies. Whether, even if we allocate some money for brand building, whether the company can compete with likes of Levers or Nestle is always doubtful. So our suggestion is always build distribution first, and fortunately with the opening of FDI in retail and a lot of action on the organized retail front, there's a lot of shelf space available. So even if you don't have a brand, you have shelf space available to showcase your products. So that could be your first stage strategy, and then go for brand building when you achieve certain scale. So that's point number 1. Point number 2, we look for technology. So ideally, if there's a patent or an IPR, nothing like it. And as discussed in the last session, there's a lot of value attached to an IPR or a patent. But that, if you don't have that, but still you have some technology which is ahead of the lot. As in, if you're the first one to do that in the industry, it may be available somewhere else outside India or in other countries. But if you're first one to do it successfully in India, then you create value for sure. And it's not just one-time process. I think you need to keep investing. We like companies which have a setup, which has an infrastructure, which have resources to keep coming up with new technologies. They may be successful, they may not be successful, but a continuous focus on improvement in products and processes always create value. Third, what create value is really the quality of management. And here, of course, since most businesses in India are family driven, you look at promoters' profile, his experience, etc. But equally important is look at the team, who's going to grow the business. And when we come as an investor with a 5 to 7 year time horizon, that team becomes equally critical, you as much as promoter. So, and it's not just the qualification, it's not just the experience of the team, it's also how sticky are they with the company. We like companies where people have spent significant amount of time, where they're willing to continue with the company in the growth phase, and we typically incentivize them with ESOPs whenever we invest money in the company. So build a team which is integral to a business model, which has complementarity, and which is committed to grow the company in the growth phase. Last point, last but not the least, I think it's always good to start with the philosophy to make the company process driven. As I mentioned that most businesses are family driven. So if you take the promoters out of the business, the value can come down significantly if an investor like us to exit. So I think that's one challenge which we see, and it's not just 1 or 2 things. I think you have to do multitude of things. We spoke about corporate governance, we talk about independent boards. There are lot can be done on the financial controls, lot can be done on ERP implementation to gradually move it from a person-dependent company to a process-dependent company. I think that is ultimate. For example, how can Haldiram's become McDonald's? No way it can become Haldiram's only a McDonald's or a global food chain on the basis of strengths of the promoter. At some stage, the process has to really drive the business. So I think if you're an early stage company, if you're setting up in the setting up stage, think of ways, and of course it can't happen right from the beginning. You need a lot of passion from the promoters. But I would say, let's say in year 2, year 3, one should start thinking of ways by which you can de-link yourself as promoter or entrepreneur with the businesses, so that business can run on its own, even if you are like on a vacation for a month or so. So I think these are 3-4 parameters which I leave it for you to think about. These are important, and I always say it's not a question of large cap versus small cap. There's always an excuse. Our size is too small, बहुत छोटे हैं हम, अभी बहुत time लगेगा. But we have seen that SMEs who do it faster than others always are more valuable for themselves, for the strategic investors, for financial investors like us. So with that, I'd like to conclude. Thank you.